Hey, welcome to the 40 Finance channel, everybody. My name's Jeff Beers. Here we are in June of 2022, and we know what's going on in the stock market over the past 6 or 7 months. Prices have been falling, lots of fears out there across several different categories. And if you've been investing in stocks over the past year or two, you've certainly seen the full roller coaster of emotion going on. I know for a lot of us, it's difficult to look at our stocks right now and try to come up with a plan for when they're going to go from negative 50, 60, 70%. When are they going to recover? And that's kind of what we're going to look at today and think about. And it's just sort of changing the perspective of the short term to the long term. So to do that, in this video, we are going to just look back 3 years ago in June of 2019 across several large cap, mega cap stocks to see, hey, what was the total return? What if you put your money in these stocks in June of 2019 and you closed your eyes and you never looked at them again until June of 2022? Now, I think most investors are familiar with the concept that time in the market is better than timing the market. So I think this particular 3-year stretch is going to be very interesting because the world is in a much different place today. So let's jump in and find some of the biggest winners and losers over the past 3 years. Now, as usual, we're going to use Seeking Alpha to kind of sort through some of this data. In this screener that I put together here, very, very simple. This is just USA large and mega caps based on where they stand today. So there are likely several companies that have increased their market cap and decreased their market cap in and out of this list over the past 3 years. But for purposes of time and making things easy, we're just going to track the 3-year performance of the ones that currently sit with a market cap over $10 billion. All right, and a quick scan here, you can see all of the big names are in here, including the big NASDAQ stocks, Berkshire, Exxon, United Health, J&J. No real sector or category sort here. We're looking very specifically at the largest market cap stocks here in the United States. Now, thanks to Seeking Alpha, if we go to this performance tab, we get several different looks at the annual performance or time frame performance of all of the stocks in our filter. And quick shout out, if you're interested in learning more about Seeking Alpha Premium, my affiliate link is in the description. Gives you a free trial to all of the tools that you see I'm using here, as well as a 50% off discount for your first year. Okay, so let's go through some of these sorts, and I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. If we went on year to date, so let's start here on year to date just to put some perspective into things. And I'm going to go negative year to date to start with. And the largest losers year to date, at least according to this chart, would be Coin, Unity Software, Snapchat, Roblox, Netflix, Etsy, Snowflake, Twilio, Okta, Roku, Align, App, and Net. So a lot of popular stocks in there if you've been following the market over the past year or two. Now let's flip over to year-to-date winners. So these are all the winners so far in 2022. And again, nothing surprising. It's basically all energy stocks, right? Occidental, Marathon, Hess. What else do we got here? Halliburton, Southwestern Energy. Those have been the big winners this year, right? And you didn't have to be a genius to probably rattle that off the top of your head. So definitely been a year of transition with the increasing inflation and as well as some of the other threats that have been out there that have taken essentially technology out and pumped energy in. But let's see how things change, if they do at all, over a 3-year performance. So let's scroll over here, and let's start with the 3-year losers. Okay, let's take a look at the 3-year losers. And the first one on the board, Chesapeake Energy. So an energy stock from a 3-year perspective that is up 57% year to date. It's actually down 74% if you would have bought this stock in June of 2019 and simply went to bed and woke up today to look at it, you would be down a little bit. Then you have Carnival Cruise, which, to be fair to Carnival, it's going to take a while to crawl back into the game after they've had such disruption, but they are right up there in the top losers. And you have Boeing, which is still recovering, obviously, from their disruptions. Royal Caribbean, United Airlines. Very surprising on United Airlines because we know that the airlines are making more money this year. It's only up 4.5% year to date, but you're down minus 40% if you got into it quite a while ago. Netflix and Uber. These two are kind of interesting. Netflix obviously has had a bad run, significantly bad run since November of this year. Year to date down 65%. And would you believe that over the past 3 years, if you bought Netflix in June of 2019, you would be down minus 40% today. It's really kind of hard to imagine. Now I see off to the side here, if you bought it 5 years ago, you would be up plus 20%. But minus 40% after 3 years on Netflix, I would have never guessed that. All right, and then Uber's down minus 38%. That wasn't even around 5 years ago, so I'm guessing that Uber is trading below its IPO price right now. Any other big dogs on here worth calling out? American Airlines. So airlines still struggling on a 3-year basis, really across quite a few of them. All right, so let's talk about the winners. Let's switch this 3-year performance to the top. And look who's on the top now and think about who's struggling in the headlines today from a stock perspective. All right, Tesla, 3-year performance, plus 2,000%. Obviously a very special company that's had a very special stock run. Then you got Enphase Energy, which is over 1,000% up since the past 3 years. So these two stocks right off the bat, if you bought them in June of 2019 and never looked at them, you're up well over 1,000%. Plug Power, 600% gain over the past 3 years. This is one that's down 35% year to date. Next is AR. I don't know AR. Antero Resources Corporation. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm going to stick with the names that I recognize. Moderna. Okay, you're down 45% this year. But if you bought 3 years ago, it's still been pretty good, plus 500%. I don't think you're too worried about this past year. Nvidia, we know that Nvidia's price has been under pressure, minus 33% this year. Don't worry though, if you bought it 3 years ago, you're still almost up 500%. All right, what are some other beaten down names? I'm looking in this year-to-date column. So you got Fortinet, minus 15% year-to-date, plus 300% over the past 3 years. AMD, minus 25% year-to-date, but you've done pretty well, plus 300% if you got in much earlier. Apple, minus 15% this year. Apple investors, plus 245% on a mega cap stock. That's pretty impressive. And with Apple, you can see you actually would have done better if you took the dividends and reinvested them. That would have brought you up to 253% on the total return. Okay, let's do one more thing here. Let's take 1 year, not year-to-date performance, but 1 year. It's really the stock market meltdown, I would argue, started basically in November, December. So let's extrapolate a little bit and go 1 year. And I'm going to sort by the losers, but the key that we want to look for is actually in the 3-year performance column. Let's take a look at some of the big losers that have still returned great returns over the past 3 years. And right off the bat here is Snapchat. Okay, 1 year, we already talked about it, minus 75%. But 3-year investors who bought a long time ago and never looked at it again, they're still up plus 25%. Same deal with Roku. If you had a vision 3 years ago, you're still hanging on to plus 6%. So it's obviously been a rough ride for these two, but the folks who are in early are still hanging with a profit. Who else do we have? We've got Zoom, plus 40% if you would have bought into Zoom 3 years ago. Interestingly enough, PayPal, minus 20%. This stings for me because I have PayPal and it is actually down minus 20%, even if I would have bought my shares back in June of 2019. So that is definitely a roller coaster of negative proportions. We'll see what happens in the future. Square, minus 46%, but Square would have returned plus 41 for you over the past 3 years. 41%, guys, across 3 years. That is a pretty great return on your money. How about DocuSign as one of the big COVID winners? Plus 56% over 3 years, minus 42 year to date. Anybody else stand out here? Etsy, e-commerce and technology combined equals big time losers over the past year. Minus 50%, 3-year investors are still up 40%. Let me see if any other names stand out here. Facebook, 2019. If you got in June of 2019, you're still up 12% in all of this doom and gloom. However, over the 1 year, you're down minus 40%. Okay, one last quick perspective. Let's do 5 years. And for this one, I'll do total return. So if anything has a dividend, the dividends would have been rolled into it as well. 5-year total return winner on our current large cap and mega cap stocks has been Enphase, plus 24,000%. I do believe this was a $1 or $2 stock, maybe even lower. But Enphase is the winner over the past 5 years on total return. And we've got Tesla a close second at 1,000%, AMD almost 900, Trade Desk 858, Plug Power 847, Fortinet 676, Etsy we talked about, that would have been 550, Nvidia 450, so on and so on. Okay, so the purpose there is just to illustrate how things look when you start to span out across time. You obviously see a ton of graphs out there on social media that are like, look, if you invested over the past 25 years, you did X, Y, Z. But I thought I'd bring it in even a little bit closer to a more short-term range. So when you look at it from a 3-year view and you think about all the stuff that has happened and how high and low stock prices have gotten in just that short 3-year history, it is interesting to see that there's quite a few people in the popular stocks who that if they bought it in June of 2019, they're still doing pretty good. Now, the thing that we can't see in the screener that I set up is which stocks have fallen out massively, let's just say from mega cap, large cap status, dwindled all the way down to penny stock status. So that doesn't show up just because I had to set the criteria for large cap and mega caps as they exist today. But overall, the point here is if you picked strong, growing companies, then over a 3-year time period, it's not that you haven't had your stomach shaken up a few times with prices going up and down, but generally speaking, you're still landing on the plus side of positive returns. So if you're struggling to look at your stocks here in June of 2022, just know that if you haven't been in them for a year or two, preferably 3, 5, 10 years, then you are still in the beginning of a journey, assuming that the companies you've chosen continue to grow and expand. All right, so I hope that gives you some perspective over a 3-year stretch. Before you go, don't forget to check out that special offer for Seeking Alpha Premium in the description. I hope everybody's having a great day. We'll see you on the next video.